Hello, it's Daryl at 10 Foot Truck Good Attitude Services. It's a beautiful summer day today. There's a slight breeze, so it's nice. I'm enjoying the outdoor weather. And I'm out in my truck right now organizing for a possible job on the weekend, either a moving job or a junk removal job. One of those, or maybe a delivery, I don't know. Just cleaning out the truck, getting it organized. So I thought I'd do a video. I had two subjects I was thinking about doing a video on because what happened this week, what got me thinking about it, is this week I've had like 3 or 4 calls, and when they ask the price, I assume that they're looking around. This is on Craigslist. I use Craigslist, Google, and I also use these apps to get jobs, and I'll go through kind of how that works. But I wanted to, just kind of get people, at least especially customers, to understand that, the cost of operating these type of services. That's why the prices are the way they are. Now, my prices are fairly low for the area, and actually they're probably right in the middle as far as the area. I know that because I've talked to customers, and they've talked to me about, when they had experiences hiring, like a bigger company or a franchise, and they told me the minimum charges that they had to pay. And then another customer that hired me for a junk removal job actually said she picked me out of the list of people on Craigslist because my prices were in the middle. They're fair. So I know that my prices are fair and they're not too expensive for what the service that I provide. But I had like 3 or 4 customers. I know things are getting more expensive, so I understand people trying to have a bargain. But I've had like 3 or 4 customers this week calling me for moving and then, asking about the price. And then, you could tell that they weren't happy with the price because they said, well, I gotta ask, to see if that's good. I'll get back to you. And then I had one customer get back to me and say, that's too high of a price, even though I gave them probably possibly the lowest price that I possibly would give anyone, just because I wanted to get some work. So I know that was a low price. So I'm like, wow, that was already a low price, and they're complaining about that. And I thought about how would I make a living if I were to continue to do those. If I went that low and did all my work that low, eventually I would be out of business. And it's because of costs that people aren't aware of. Customers aren't aware of the higher insurance cost on a truck. We pay, as a service provider, anyone out there that's doing junk removal, moving, or delivery in a big commercial truck, either a dump truck, box truck, or even a pickup truck. You have to pay, when you're operating a vehicle for a service, you have to pay commercial insurance. You don't just pay regular vehicle insurance. Since you're now high liability, because you're using it as a business, they can say the liability is a little higher, so you're paying a premium price. You're paying a higher price for commercial insurance. And you have to pay that, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. You have to pay your commercial insurance in order to operate. And that's just the way it is. And that's a cost right there that's much higher than a regular vehicle insurance policy. So there's that. Then you have all the tools and equipment that you bought, and on maintaining your truck. When you're doing commercial jobs, you're putting a lot of stress on your transmission when you put all the weight in these trucks. So your vehicle is going to have to be maintained a little bit more than a regular vehicle just commuting to a job. So that's a higher cost for maintenance. The fuel costs are more because you have a bigger engine, because you need more power to pull, either a trailer or a box truck or a pickup truck. It's going to be higher gas prices for that vehicle. And then if you're paying someone to help, if you're paying a helper or an employee, you have those costs. I don't do that. I'm doing that on my own. But if I do hire someone, that's an extra cost. And so in your time and the mileage and all that. But this is all calculated in. And then you're talking about, as a self-employed person, you're paying self-employment tax or business tax. So the taxes are going to be higher because it's not like you're doing W-2. So you have to put that into awareness too, that the customer is not aware of the taxes that you're paying. And in some cases, not all cases, depending on where you live, you have to pay certain permits. And so all these costs come into play. And also you may have to pay general liability insurance and these kind of things to be able to operate. So and then also you're paying there's a lot of different things you're paying that other people aren't aware of in fees, taxes, and maintenance and costs. So these all have to go in, and you have to be able to calculate all that. I'm not going to get into how much I paid in maintenance on this vehicle, but it's in the thousands of dollars. It's quite expensive. And then if you're renting a vehicle or leasing a vehicle and it's not yours, you're paying those rental costs. So these are things that have to be factored in. This is not a W-2 job. We don't punch a clock and we're not, just getting a certain amount per hour. It doesn't work that way. I do try to calculate a certain amount per hour just because this is hard labor. This isn't easy work. It requires, it can be risky. I've injured myself on jobs before. It's very physically straining on your body. So it's not just your regular type of job. If you were to go out and just get hired as a junk removal or driving a truck or doing moving, I've done that before for companies. They're going to pay you higher than just a regular job because it's a harder job. So you're going to have to pay yourself just for the labor is going to be higher, and then the cost, like I said, all those other costs. So a lot of people see, oh well, it's $100 an hour or whatever it is. That seems expensive. It's not. It's not expensive when you're talking about all the things I'm talking about. So I try to do flat rates, of course, on a lot of the jobs, and then it's volume for junk removal, and then of course you also have your disposal costs and your recycling costs when you're sorting out that. There's all these different factors that people just don't think. They may think that way because if you just work a W-2 job your whole life and you have a career, you know that you get paid a certain amount. If you want more, you get a raise, but they're not really aware of the business costs that business to operate. It's not in your consciousness because that's just not what you're doing. And so sometimes it's hard for people to see that, and sometimes they're trying to get the cheapest deal. And if they do, they're not going to get someone, they may not get someone that's the best at what they're doing because that person hasn't obviously factored in all that in, so they're not really operating professionally. And also me, I'm trustworthy, and that goes a long way. So when someone does hire me, they realize that I'm trustworthy, honest, and I do my work the best possible. So with integrity. So that's something that you can't really put a price on. Having integrity and doing your job well and being honest. So there's a lot of things that just go into it. So I guess I wanted to mention that just because some people aren't aware of that. I don't know if anyone's going to see this that's a customer, but it is costly to operate these, and I'm sure anyone else is out there doing junk removal, moving, or delivery or anything like that, landscaping, courier work, is aware of that. So anyway, that's one thing I wanted to talk about because of what the calls I've been getting or the responses to some of my ads. And the other thing I want to talk about is I also, not only do I get work off of Craigslist, Google, and I also get work off apps like LoadUp. They've been pretty good for getting jobs in my area. I mean, not a lot, but they do have jobs available out here, so I do use them to get work because, of course, you're not going to get like when I put up an ad, I'm not going to get what I would charge because, of course, that's obvious. They're doing the marketing, so you're going to be, you're going to have to, you're going to get less than if you would do your marketing yourself. Like, of course, they're doing much better marketing than I would be doing because they have that network. But one of the things I want to talk about with doing that with the load-up jobs is that I had one today, a couple come in, and you have to be real careful because sometimes if you don't get the details of the job, since you're not the one that talked to the customer, you're not the one that sold the job, there may be some things that are missing, so sometimes you have to become aware of that. And what I would do is if I'm kind of questioning, like today I was questioning like what the items were because I wasn't quite clear on it. And I had to contact them too, just because I didn't want to go to the job not being clear, because that happened to me before. So I'm just kind of giving a warning out there if anybody uses these apps, is to, if you feel like if there's something that's not clear in the order, or like if something you're not sure about, make sure you reach out, not to the customer, because you would have to reach out to the customer service, because you really can't reach out to the customer until the job is accepted. And then you're actually working with the customer where you can contact them. But even then, the job's already been accepted, so it doesn't work that way. It's not like when I'm talking to a customer that calls me, asking for pictures, dimensions of the items, maybe estimated weights, or maybe I'll even go out and do a on-site. The best way I like that is going on an on-site estimate. In these cases on the internet like that, with the internet apps, you may see pictures, but when I contact the customer service, they will give me the details. They'll contact the customer themselves, and then just to get the details of that job. Because one time I went to a job recently to pick up some appliances, and in the order the job was listed as ground level, no stairs. But when I got there, it was 2 flights of stairs, or 1 flight of stairs. Sorry, not 2, 1 flight of stairs. And I wasn't aware of that, so I probably should have. Next time what I'll do is when I see something that's going to be really heavy and it's going to require special equipment and maybe another helper, well, they all do require helpers, but bringing in a specific type of dolly or something like that, and make sure that my helpers are able to handle that kind of weight. If they want to, it's something like a piano or something, you definitely want to make sure. And I should have contacted customer service in that case, just to make sure that it was ground level, and they would have maybe contacted the customer, and the customer would have verified that it was stairs. Because sometimes, I guess, maybe if you're going, I don't really know how it works with a customer because I've never been a customer on that app, but maybe there's like questionnaires, and maybe if you miss something in there when they're asking specifics, maybe or however it works, it gets missed, and then you get the order, and then when you get there, you're like, wow, I didn't know that. So always be prepared. Luckily, in the back of my mind, I was like, I was thinking, well, what if it is upstairs? So I brought my specific dolly that I use for stairs, and I brought all kinds of tools for disassembly and assembly. And I'm glad I did, because that helped, and I was able to complete the job. But so I just want to make people aware of that if they're using apps like that, and to make sure that you feel comfortable that all what's in the order or like specific job that they're presenting to you before you accept it. Make sure you get the details that you need. And it's just like in any even if it's a Craigslist ad that they're responding to. A lot of times I get responses that are very vague. They'll send a picture, and the picture doesn't really describe what it doesn't look. I can't tell from the picture. That's when I'll tell the customer that I'd prefer to do an on-site estimate for free if it's close by. So because I'd rather go look at it and to see it with my own eyes. In certain cases, the pictures are good enough. You don't need to, like if it's a couch, and love seeing a chair and a picture of that. But if it's a picture of a giant pile of construction debris, or like I had one recently, it was like this giant pile of bags of drywall, and I can't tell by looking at the picture how big those bags were. I mean, they're contractor bags, but to me, I couldn't tell how many bags because they were just all stacked on each other. Because they were sitting next to a house, I couldn't tell. Like I wasn't sure how. Like sometimes you can tell by how high the roof is or whatever, something near it, like a car near it. Sometimes you have to tell people, can you send me a picture next to an item that I know the dimensions of it, so I can kind of calculate it? Because if it's just a pile, it's hard. So in that case, I said I'll do an on-site free estimate, and then I brought the truck out there and I did the job that day. The customer was happy with the price. So I like doing those. But when you're dealing with these apps, you may not get the pictures, or you may just get like a short description of what it is. And in that case, sometimes you might want to contact the customer service before and ask them certain things that you need. Like, is it a sleeper? Like if say if it's a couch, it says a couch. Like for instance, with one job, it said it was a small 2-seat couch. I pictured in my mind a small like love seat. Well, when I got there, it was actually a full couch, and it's pretty heavy. It was just a 2-seat big couch, so it had 2 cushions, but it wasn't like a love seat. It was a big, almost the size of a full couch. So sometimes, like let's say if it says it's a couch and a chair, what I would do is I would ask that customer service. In that case, is it a sleeper sofa? Is it a recliner sofa? Is it a mechanical recliner sofa? Is it a recliner chair? Because those recliners are a whole different situation than just a regular couch. It's night and day between a recliner sofa or a sleeper sofa and a sofa, they're totally different. It might as well be a different piece of furniture, because the weight I've picked up and moved mechanical recliner, not just recliner, but mechanical recliners, ones that have electronics in them, that are like, they have a lot of electronics and stuff in them to run that had to be 400 pounds. And then a regular sofa could be as light as 100 pounds. So there's a huge difference. And just with pianos too. I had an order that said a piano. Well, it said an upright piano, right? I contacted the app, because the app wanted me to go pick up a piano. And I was like, it was a pretty decent payout, but I don't have a lift gate or a ramp. A ramp. So moving a piano, I've done many pianos in the past. It really is almost a requirement in my mind to have a ramp or a lift gate, because those things are so heavy. But when they say an upright piano, I've moved upright pianos that are small and that are pretty manageable. But then I've moved upright pianos that are really old. It might as well be grand pianos. They're so heavy. I mean, those antique ones. So that's another thing. There could be a huge difference, even if it's labeled as something like, say, a piano. There's a big difference in the weights of pianos. Certain older ones that are uprights are much heavier than the newer ones. Well, they don't have a lot of new pianos these days, but more modern pianos, they were lighter. The materials were different. So in that case too, there's all kinds of different things that could come up. So make sure, if you're not comfortable or you don't know, like you're questioning, that, you want to make sure before you go out there that you can handle the weight and that you're going to be able to do the job, complete the job, and not waste your time going out there. Because that happened when I got to the one that was picking up appliances, and I realized it was upstairs. I almost had to cancel, but then I realized that I was probably going to be able to do it if I used my specific appliance dolly. I knew that I told the customer it's going to take some time, but I'll be able to do it. I used the sliders to move, because it was really tight stairway, so I had to, once I got the dolly down, I had to use the sliders and take the dolly off, and it took a lot of maneuvering, but I had all the equipment and things to do it, so I felt comfortable and I did the job. But I was almost ready to cancel. So if I would have known, luckily I went to the job because it was good, the customer was nice, and I completed the job, and I was happy about that. But that's the thing about junk removal and moving. All these factors come into if you're going to accept the job. If it's something that you can do, and you have the right equipment for it. So anyway, I kind of want to talk about today as I prepare my truck for this weekend. It's going to be probably pretty nice weather all weekend. I don't see any rain coming in this weekend, so it should be nice and good days to work. Hope everyone's doing great out there. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you're all having great success and prosperity. This is Daryl at 10 Foot Truck, Good Attitudes Services. Have a great weekend. Signing out. Thanks.